afternoon, I am Deidre Gordon with the Midday News. Andre Blackman Bryan was this morning convicted of being the leader of the One Gun Gang. Chief Justice Brian Sykes handed down the guilty verdict during his summation of the evidence in the Home Circuit Court. Justice Sykes said it was clear from the evidence that Bryan was the leader of a criminal organization. Another defendant, Tom Rickett Taylor, was found guilty of being a member of a criminal organization, while Bryan's brother, Kevon Green, was freed on that, as well as all other counts against him. Meanwhile, Bryan and his co-accused, Ted Prince, were found guilty of facilitating conspiracy to murder in the death of an unidentified man in the vicinity of Phil's Hardware in St. Catherine in January 2018. The Chief Justice has been summing up the evidence in the case over the past several weeks. Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, will this afternoon outline how the government's $1 trillion expenditure for the upcoming fiscal year will be funded. The 2023-24 budget debate gets underway in the House of Representatives. The funds are allocated across the main expenditure categories and comprise non-debt recurrent expenditure of $665.7 billion, capital expenditure of $75.3 billion, and debt servicing of $280.6 billion. At the tabling of the estimates of expenditure on February 14, Dr. Clark explained that the allocation for capital expenditure takes into existing capacity to implement capital programs and focuses on the priority areas to enhance development. He says the largest single item of expenditure is the amount of $338 billion for wages and salaries, which includes provisions for the second year of implementation of the public sector compensation restructuring. He pointed out that the level of expenditure is approximately $100 billion higher than the wages and salaries for fiscal year 2021-22 after adjusting for allowances previously captured in programs. In the meantime, opposition spokesperson on finance Julian Robinson will respond to the finance minister's presentation on March 9. The leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, is slated to make his presentation on March 14. Prime Minister Andrew Holness will make his contribution to the budget debate on March 16. The finance minister will conclude the debate on March 21. The protest action by public sector teachers is continuing ahead of tomorrow's delegates' vote on the latest offer from the government under the compensation review. Teachers in Manchester, St. Elizabeth and St. Anne joined in the protest today, some reporting sick, others staging sit-ins or wearing black to show solidarity. Sydney Pagan STEM Academy in St. Elizabeth and Winston Jones High School in Manchester were among the institutions that sent home students after the majority of teachers stayed away from the classroom. Academic staff representative at Sydney Pagan, Rochelle Nelson, says today's sit-in is a message to both the JTA and the government.
And if there's any doubt whatsoever that we are satisfied or we are not satisfied, we're here today to make that clear. We are unsatisfied and it cannot work.
Academic staff representative at Sydney Pagan, Rochelle Nelson. Other teachers at Magotty High School in St. Elizabeth and Manchester High took their protest off the school compound. JTA contact teacher at Manchester High School, Shelley and Bruce Reed, says her teachers will be rejecting the wage offer tomorrow.
Well, our protest this morning is a peaceful one. In fact, we will not be disrupting classes today. We are just sending a message to the government to let them know that we, the teachers of Manchester High School, are not pleased, not satisfied with what we're getting. And so we want to let them know that we will be rejecting the offer that has been put on the table before us. We deserve more, and so we are sticking out for more.
JTA contact teacher at Manchester High School, Shelley and Bruce Reed. And there was no school for students at Cumberland High School in Port St. Catherine as teachers staged a sit-in. A JTA contact teacher at the school, Donovan Edwards, says teachers are using the day to complete administrative tasks. Mr. Edwards also indicated that St. Catherine delegates are expected to vote to reject the government's wage offer.
From my knowledge, across the parish of St. Catherine, we have 8 district associations, and most of the district associations within the parish, they have their consultations with the teachers in their DA, and it is a resounding no. And the information coming into us that it's a resounding no across the parish of St. Catherine.
JTA contact teacher at Cumberland High School, Donovan Edwards. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has defended the amount of money being spent to overhaul the Cornwall Regional Hospital. The estimated cost for the rehabilitation of the hospital now stands at $14.1 billion. There have been questions about the ballooning cost of the hospital project. Speaking at a press conference this morning, Dr. Tufton said the work has had to be re-examined to ensure it will result in a state-of-the-art facility.
This is not a case of cost overruns. It is a case of a rescoping of a project to create a new facility that the people of Western Jamaica deserves, frankly speaking. And this government has decided to do that by putting up the resources to do it. And I think that this requires a recognition and appreciation for all of us, from me as Minister of Health and my team, because ultimately the benefits will accrue to the people on the ground in terms of services.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, in the meantime, project manager of the work at Cornwall Regional Hospital, Vivian Gordon, provided a breakdown of the $14 billion to be spent on the facility.
We had an initial estimate when we first started looking at it at more in the order of 10.5 billion. The team that worked on the creation of the fittings and equipment list has no hazard, I guess, based on the current estimates that we'll be looking at approximately 2.5 billion. And the professional services, given the extent of the reconstruction work in the order of about 10%, we'll be looking at 1.1 billion, giving us a total new estimate of work at $14.1 billion.
Project manager for the work at the Cornwall Regional Hospital, Vivian Gordon. Industry Minister Owen Hill says local ganja farmers are to receive assistance with the second installment of the Alternative Development Program. Following reports that a local company had been granted a permit to import ganja from Canada, local players complained that not enough is being done to support the industry. Minister Hill says the first installment of the program was a pilot, and the lessons learned will be used to achieve improved outcomes. He says the second installment of the program is to get underway in April.
We're looking to have 16 communities across the country, about 128 farmers involved, to be targeted over the next 3 or 4 years. Participating communities will be allowed to cultivate up to 10 acres of land for each community. Each participating community will be required to sell output to a person who has a license from the CLA. And we that she has money, the small scale and farmers.
Industry Minister Senator Owen Hill and the Minister of Industry is proposing a mother farm approach to the cultivation of ganja. Portfolio Minister Owen Hill says the cultivators' transitional special permit and pilot project will allow for small scale and traditional farmers to participate in the regulated framework with less rigid requirements. Minister Hill says the pilot will target 5 mother farms, which will be allowed to work with 4 satellite farms each.
You have people with 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, but they don't have the working capital. What do you do when the drought comes and your crop fails? The mother farm concept allows for a bigger investor because many of the small farmers find the initial fee to be high, $2,500 US dollars. You have to put up fence and all that stuff. We're finding ways to
Hi
make
guys,
sure
we're
we
testing
alleviate
the
some of
live,
those
so
problems
let us know
for
if you're seeing
the
clearly
small and
and
traditional
hearing clearly,
farmers. So we're looking
so that when we cover the event,
very real ways to
better.
develop medical cannabis growth in Jamaica.
Industry Minister Owen Hill, he is urging small farmers to join forces and form companies and or cooperative societies which will allow them to share startup costs. A 5-year-old boy and his mother died in a fire at their house in Berkshire, Westmoreland last night. They've been identified as Joel Brown and Keisha Walters. The Savannah Lamar Fire Department responded to the blaze about 11 o'clock. The 2-bedroom house was fully engulfed by flames. The remains of Miss Walters and her son were found during cooling down operations. The fire department is investigating whether a lit candle or wood from outdoor cooking caused the tragedy. Further afield, a Mexican state governor says 2 of the 4 Americans kidnapped at gunpoint in Mexico last week are dead, and 2 are still alive. U.S. officials have yet to confirm the information. 4 citizens were kidnapped by armed men March 3 while driving into the city of Matamoros in the northeastern state, across the border from Texaco. Relatives told U.S. media that they had traveled there for cosmetic surgery. Now to end the newscast, here are the main points. Andre Blackman Bryan convicted of being leader of Wandon gang. More teachers stage industrial action over slow pace of wage talks with government.